Hi everyone. They might seem insignificant, but slopes are an absolutely crucial part of Quake speedrunning. So many of the tricks we know and love, from huge boosts, crazy fast bunnies, full level skips, and runs on custom trick maps, wouldn't exist without the humble slope. Those of us playing the game for years or decades take the way slopes work for granted. But to an outsider, it must be seriously confusing. There's nothing intuitive about the rules of Quake slopes. And whether you're moving up, down, or across them, they all have a set of strange properties. In this video, I'll break down these rules and how they can be exploited for speedrunning purposes. I hope you like it. The most basic property of slopes is, if you jump while moving upwards, you'll jump slightly higher than usual. Even id Software were aware of this bug because they used it occasionally in the original levels. For example, the intended method to reach this secret area on E4M1 is to slope jump and bump your head on this light switch to open a hidden door. This basic principle can be exploited in a bunch of interesting ways. The super precise air control available in Quake means that the extra height from slope jumps combined with mid-air curls can be used to reach all kinds of unintended places. These are just a few of the now classic slope jump tricks on the original maps. Custom mappers who aren't careful might also find their levels completed in a few seconds if they place their exit trigger anywhere near a convenient slope. Huge skips can sometimes result from the use of seemingly tiny or insignificant slopes, whether it's a piece of ornate architecture or a part of the map's geometry. If you do a boost off a slope from explosives or from enemy damage, then you go much higher than you might expect. The extra height from the slope compounds with the boost, resulting in some enormous jumps. Speedrunners have combined slope jumps with just about any kind of boost you can think of. How about some rockets? Or grenades? Or mid-air ogre grenades? Or 2 ogre grenades? Or a normal grenade plus an ogre grenade? Or a quad damage rocket? A quad damage grenade? A grenade plus a rocket? Or in co-op mode with a simultaneous double grenade and double rocket jump? You're probably starting to get the idea. Perhaps the most important property of slopes is this. If you jump into a slope and again when you hit it, then you'll go even higher than if you were to walk up the slope and jump at the top. The faster your speed when you hit the slope, the higher you go. And because there's almost no limit to your ground speed in Quake, there's also no real limit to the amount of height you can get. Things can get pretty wild at high speeds. Here's a co-op demo where a super shotgun boost into a slope launches the second player onto this high roof. Or here's a huge skip using a boost from a custom enemy into the slopes on the ground and walls. The downside of this is that when you bunny into a slope to gain height, you also lose horizontal speed. Runners have to be careful of this when planning their routes or jumping patterns in order to minimize speed lost while still getting the necessary height. Once a slope reaches a certain steepness, you can't jump off it or walk up it normally, but there are still a few extra bits of weirdness we can manipulate. For a very specific set of angles, we can do a kind of slow crawl up the slopes, resulting in some silly looking demos like this. And even if we can't crawl up them, if we jump into very steep slopes, we can still do a type of sliding or surfing trick where we gain some extra height before falling back down. Sometimes just a few pixels is all we need to grab a crucial key or reach a certain area. But again, given enough speed, we can also slide for quite a long distance. Here we use a boost from an ogre grenade to slide up this steep angle. Or here, a push from a wind tunnel and a very accurate jump at the bottom of the slope lets us slide all the way to this top area. So far, we've only been looking at moving up slopes. What about going down them? This is a whole different world of weirdness with various speedrunning applications. First of all, every time you jump down a slope, you gain a small speed boost, which you can maintain as long as you keep your bunny sequence going. This leads to some really long high-speed patterns, and runners will try to incorporate down slopes into their runs whenever possible, even tiny ones like these. Some mappers have had fun with this feature and developed a kind of subcategory of slide maps designed like racetracks with constant downward slopes, resulting in some incredible speedruns. There's also a very obscure trick available where a single jump with an almost pixel-perfect landing at the bottom of a slope gives you a speed boost along otherwise flat ground. As far as I know, this trick has only been used on 2 runs, at the beginning of E1M1 and on this custom map. Since we're talking about downward slopes, we also have to talk about grenades. Don't ask me why, but if a grenade is moving downwards and in the direction of a slope, it will get stuck in place. This behavior is 100% consistent, so speedrunners use it all the time to line up perfect grenade shots before boosting from the slope. The most famous example would have to be on E1M3, but there are all kinds of spectacular grenade setups on hundreds of custom maps. Off the walls, around corners, as long as it ends up on a slope, the grenade will get stuck in place. This applies to ogre grenades as well, resulting in tricks like this. We've talked about upward-facing slopes and downward-facing slopes, so what about sideways? Just in case we were getting bored, these slopes are weird too. Holding a strafe key while moving along slopes at certain angles lets you go surfing sideways along them. Surfing down a slope also gains speed, so you really can ride it like a wave, curling back upwards to make a jump or to reach a higher ledge. It's hard to get used to, but it's another way you can reach out-of-bounds areas and gain significant speed. While it's quite rare to find a use for this trick on normal maps, it's another feature which mappers have exploited, resulting in crazy demos like this. Even slopes on the roof can occasionally be put to use. If you boost upwards into a slope, then you can slide up the slope before getting launched forwards in its direction, converting your vertical speed into horizontal speed, like this. So, slopes can be used in all kinds of interesting and counterintuitive ways, and one of the first things speedrunners will look at on a map is whether there are any interesting slopes to be exploited. Often runs end up using combinations of many or all of the various slope properties. Here's a slope jump, into a slope jump, into a down slope boost, into another slope jump, into a sticky grenade placement, into a slope plus grenade plus rocket boost. Here's some preserved down slope speed into an awesome grenade placement. Here's a slope jump into a grenade placement, into a grenade slope boost, into more slope jumps. Here's some down speed into slope jumps and some slope rocket boosts. And here's Chambers navigating one of the hardest custom maps ever made using a giant sequence of bunnies and various slope tricks. I hope this video has given you an impression of what is possible with slopes in Quake, and why they're such a crucial part of speedrunning. Next time you open a Quake map, keep an eye out for them, and you might just make a new discovery. Thanks for listening, and see you later.